The cemetery, behind its discreet neighbourhood walls, appears as one of the strange and last shelters of dreams and illusions, of that which is different and unknown, of that which is extraordinary and magic. Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. GV here again. It's been a couple of days since I've done a video, so I wanted to get out today and show you this beautiful old graveyard here. It's called Kilcowan Old Graveyard, and we'll go inside and have a look around and read some of the inscriptions here on the stones. So I'm just going to take you up and show you the entrance into the lovely old graveyard here, surrounded by all these beautiful old trees covering history here. And we have these beautiful gates here, and the old stonework in the wall there as you come in. So we'll go in and I'll show you around. So here we are in Kilcowan Graveyard, and some lovely headstones here as we can see starting off. So we'll read the first one here, and it's a beautiful cross headstone in loving memory of Kathleen Whelan, who died on the 19th of January 1932, aged only 5 years old. Also, her brother Noel Whelan died 20th of September 1934, aged 1 year old. And their parents, Mary Kate died in 1966, aged 68, and Paddy, her husband, passed away in 1968, also aged 82 years old. So it's very sad to see the young children buried here with their parents, and that beautiful stone cut carving of Jesus there with the Sacred Heart on it. So rest in peace to the Whelan family. A beautiful stone here, Celtic design with that Sacred Heart in it, in loving memory of Peter O'Grady, who died in 1919, aged 50 years old, and his wife Mary, who died in 1933, aged 59, and their children Michael, who died in 1915, aged 19 years old. Mary Kate died the 8th of June 1919, aged 17 years old, and Catherine May died in September 1973, aged 62, and Catherine's husband William is there also, aged 72, died in 1981. And just on the bottom there, I don't know if you can see, I'll zoom in, Peter, brother Thomas, which would mean he would have been a priest in the Brotherhood, who died on the 25th of May 2018, age 82, interred in Community Cemetery, St John of God, Stillorgan, Dublin. So large family there on that inscription, all those names, and just noticed here that people are actually leaving lovely little stones. You can see one on the top, one there, and another one here at the top. So that's nice to see that people leave stones, and I've seen people doing that on cemeteries. You know, it's a Jewish tradition, so I've never seen it done in a cemetery. Certainly not in this area or neck of the woods anyway. But it is nice to see, and I do see Scott on Tape actually does it. And I love Scott on Tape's channel. He's a great guy, very respectful guy. When he goes into the cemeteries, does great videos. And kudos to you, Scott on Tape, for all you do. He leaves the stones on top of the grave sites as a mark of respect. Sadly, it's just a little cross here on this one with fresh flowers someone has left, but there's no name or inscription on this grave. But it's beautiful all the same. And there's a few kind of around like that you see where they don't have any names, just two small white crosses here. The inscription has kind of worn away off this. With some artificial flowers. Been there a while, I'd say. Beautiful little angel down the bottom here. And sadly, some of the graves here, you know, you have ones like these, just a mound on the ground here, and there's no, you know, there's no headstone, no cross, no marker or anything like that. So we don't forget these people either. It's an old grave here in loving memory of Mary Ellen O'Neill, who died in 1923, aged only 5 years old. Also her grandparents Catherine and James. And there's an old pot here that I'm just going to move and try and straighten up. Keep it. The wind could knock these down, so you know there mightn't be anybody visiting these graves anymore, so it's nice to fix them up when there's no one else around to do it. So rest in peace, Mary Ellen, only 5 years old. Another one here that has broken across. In loving memory of our dear parents William and Mary Lee, also their sons Michael and Patrick, and their daughter Margaret Jeffers. Rest in peace. And it's nice to see there is some flowers there. Now there's also flowers here, and I just seen this one on its own, these yellow ones. So what I'm going to do is put them in here in that part of the grave, so they're not on their own. So the grass is wet today, very wet, so my feet are very wet today. There they are. Two more graves here, unfortunately no flowers and no headstones or markers. There's a couple like that in the graveyard. We have an old ballon or balloon they call it here, which was used for holding holy water in the old church. Now someone has made a lovely little flower arrangements here, and it looks like, I don't know, is that Padre Pio? I'm not sure. Lovely colourful flowers on that. A cross here. Pray for the soul of Patrick Hayes, Mount Cross, who died July the 28th, 1915, aged 17 years old. Rest in peace, Patrick. So just in there we have the old ruins of the church in the graveyard here. So we will get over and have a look in there and see. Another grave here, and someone has left all those lovely white stones. Memory of Margaret O'Neill, who died in 1948, aged 59 years old, and her husband John, who died in 1972, aged 84. And also their daughter Kathleen O'Leary, who died in 1957, aged 44, and their daughter Marion, aged 4 months only. So it's not that big of a graveyard, as you can see. I'll just pan around and show you. And that's where I came in. But you have all this lovely growth around it here. Look at that, lovely trees. And it's kind of nestled in the middle here, you know, and it's away off the beaten track, off the main road. So it's really nice and peaceful here. So there is people still coming here, as you can see. See a fresh bottle over there, could be holy water for James, who died in 1961, aged 80. Now we are getting to the older ones here, and I don't have my torch, so I hope I'll be able to read some of these for you guys, and we'll do the best we can. A really old one here. Here lies the body of John Parrell, it looks like, who died in, you can just see there, 1796, aged 84 years old. So a really old grave, 1700s. 1796, very, very old, which would have been 2 years before the rebellion, the 1798 famous rebellion in County Wexford. Lovely Celtic cross in loving memory of John Codd, who died the 14th of August 1791. Also of Nicholas Codd, who died April 1930, and Ellen, who died in 1953. A nice design on that Celtic cross, and they've painted the outer area of the grave, which is nice to see. It's painted white. So we'll go inside this beautiful doorway here, which would have been at one time the old church. So you can just imagine how many people stood in this area back in the 1700s for mass. This is quite a large plot here, and people often ask on my channel, are all the family members buried in the one plot? And the answer to that would be yes. A lot of people get buried in the one grave site. So this is erected in memory of Catherine Byrne, who departed this life in March 1859, aged 66. Also her husband James, who died in 1870, aged 80 years old. And their son John, who also died in 1904, age 83. And his wife Anne, who died, I think, 41 years old in 1904, maybe it looks like. Or it could be, it's 14. It's hard to see the inscription on that. It's very faded, but lovely nonetheless. So there you have that beautiful area where I came in and worked my way around. And here lies the body of John Furlong, who departed this life in September 1814, aged 71 years old. And John's headstone is up again the old church ruin there, the wall. And you've also that lovely little stone cross there just beside it as well. I didn't see that. So some of them are kind of faded, you know, and there's a lot of lichen on them as well. Or lichen. Some people call it lichen, some people call it lichen. The correct pronunciation for it, I'm not quite sure, but we get the drift. Here lies the body of Robert Lofter, it looks like, who departed this life on May. And there's the date, guys. 1743. Aged 34 years old. And also the body of James, who departed this life on September the 28th, 1779, aged only 37 years old. This one here is easy to read, so it's in loving memory of John Keating, Baldwinstown, who died October the 8th, 1911, aged 70 years old, and his wife Catherine Keating, who departed this life in 1932, aged 77 years old. And just in the middle of the headstone there, you can see it's stone kind of here, or maybe like cement, and in the middle then it kind of looks like slate. And you can just see where it has been put in. Look at those old nails there. You can see them. So that would have been used to put this into place on the old headstone. So I think I'm going to read some of these ones here just to the right of me. You know, and I just noticed this one here also. It's just a stone marker with no inscriptions on them. And you know, back in the day, people couldn't afford, as I said before, people can't afford these headstones, so they had just a simple marker. And there's that beautiful avenue coming into the old graveyard there with all those lovely leaves. Look at that. And all the trees growing around. So we're going to read some of these. In loving memory of William Morn, who died September 1954, aged 43 years old, and his wife Mary, who died in 1967, aged 72 years old. Beautiful white flowers here. In loving memory of Dad, it says. Lovely white cross. In loving memory of Margaret Furlong, who died the 19th of August 1940, aged only 35 years old, and also her husband, Lawrence, who died the 15th of December 1986, aged 81 years old. Beautiful grave. The whitewash look I like on those old graves. You know, you see them on the surrounding of the graves there. They paint them up and just makes them look that more tidier looking. In loving memory of John Furlong, who died the 20th of April 1952, aged 58. Also his daughter Elizabeth, who died in 1932, aged only 2 years old. And his wife Mary, who died in 1975, aged 86 years old. Sacred Heart on the headstone, and unfortunately there's a little piece here that broke. You can just see it there. Needs to be glued together, or not glued I should say, put together with some form of a glue or some type of something to put that together. I'm not sure what would put that together, guys, if anyone knows. And I don't have anything with me. So I'm just going to try and leave it the way it is. And I'm sure the family members will come along, maybe, hopefully, and try and fix it. Another old grave here. The name of the stone cutter there up in the corner, I'll show you in a minute. I think is Ronan is the name. And here lies the body of Mary Furlong, who departed this life on May the 27th, 1799, aged 21 years old, it looks like. And her mother Mary, who departed this life in October 1807, aged 61 years old. Beautiful old headstone. And there we see the initials on it there. It looks like Ronan is on that, M. Ronan. So M. Ronan would have been the stone cutter who put the inscription on this headstone back in 1799. Wow. And I sometimes wonder, these stone cutters who put the inscription on these headstones, I'd love to know where they are buried themselves, these people, because it would be nice to go and visit their graves, because all the hard work that these stone cutters did, and I'm not sure if people even recognise these people anymore or even say their name anymore. I know Sue, when she does her videos, she calls out the stone cutters' names, and it is nice to mention their names. So I would love to find out where these people are buried and pay a visit to their graves. Here lies the body of Robert Furlong, who departed this life in June 1761, aged 60 years old. And it looks like that one is kind of sinking into the ground, the headstone. Now, here we have an interesting one here. You see the bottle of holy water there at the grave. And it's in loving memory of Private John Goff, 1876 to 1959, Royal Irish Regiment, Jubbulpore and Mau, India, Transvaal, South Africa, the Boer War, 1893 to 1905. Also his wife Mary, 1877 to 1944, deceased members of Goff families. So there we have Private John Goff, who was in the Royal Irish Regiment in India, South Africa during the Boer War. More interesting history. Of the old iron cross here in this. I love these old wrought iron ones. The real old crosses. And that's Matthew Bulger, who died in 1892, aged 53, I think, years old. And his wife Mary, who was 90 years old in 1929. What a great age. She lived to be 90 in 1929, it looks like. And other family members also buried there. So I'll just give you an example of you see here we have this grave. We just read the Goff family. We have another one here to my left. And just in the middle here we see Somebody's actually buried there, and there's flowers left there, but there's no marker or headstone. So these people are buried in between these two plots here, and there's no marker, sadly. So I don't know why they don't have markers, but there's still flowers being left there. So, you know, who knows, guys, who knows? Financial difficulties back in the day, financial difficulties in this day and age. Not just back in the day. In loving memory of John Roach, who died the 14th September 1993, age 88. And his brothers are buried here also, Richard and William, and sister Mary Ann, and their parents John and Catherine. So all the family are buried here in this plot, with those beautiful white crosses and lovely flowers in the area. Nicholas Phillips is buried here, and his wife Catherine, who died in 1935. And there's the Sacred Heart mould in the centre of the old cross there. So we're coming near the end of the video, guys, and I just want to show you one or two more here before I wrap up the video. And there's a huge headstone here. There's that old Sacred Heart again. All that colourful orange lichen or lichen on it. So, of your charity, pray for the soul of William Hayes of Duncormac, who died, it says, at Boston, America, in 1853, aged 37 years old. Also his daughter, Mary Hayes, who died the 28th September 1869, aged 34 years old. Also his wife, Ellen Hayes, who died in 1875, aged 58. And then you have his two daughters, Ellen and Anastasia. So a beautiful old headstone. And William Hayes of Duncormac here in Wexford, who died in Boston, America back in 1853, aged only 37 years old. So I can just imagine back in 1853, a guy in his early 30s, or maybe younger, travelled to Boston, America, and died at 37 years old in the 1800s, and went over, I'm sure, as did a lot of Irish, went over to faraway lands across the sea for a better life, to find work and provide for their family, and unfortunately passed away very, very young. So rest in peace to all the Hayes family. So guys, I think I'm going to wrap the video up there from this beautiful old graveyard here in Kilcowan in County Wexford. And some very interesting headstones we found. So until the next time, guys, take care. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and I'll see you all on my next cemetery adventure. God bless, guys. See you soon.